This is a show with no particular niche, baby. It's always about hanging out. Maybe we'll laugh at some stuff, maybe we'll learn something new, but it's always about hanging out, me and you. Hi, hello, and welcome to That Thing with James, a podcast about nothing in particular. I'm your host, James, and welcome to the show. And if it's not your first time, welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Today, I am inspired by the last couple episodes I did. No, it was 3 episodes I did, in which I was reading a fan fiction on AO3, aka an archive of our own, or archive of our own, whatever. Yeah, it's archive of our own. Anyway, because it's not A203, it's just AO3, archive of our own. Anyway, I found another story to read. This one's complete, and I believe I'll be able to finish it in this episode. Yeah, so that's what I have planned right now. What else? Hey, what's up? What's going on? If I probably don't, but I feel like I seem a little bit off. It's been a difficult week. I had a tragic loss in my family. That's all I'll say about that. So I've been dealing with that. I might say a little bit more about that. Not in excessive detail, but just I might talk a little bit more about that in the bonus episode, along with finding some other stuff to make me laugh and hopefully make you laugh in the bonus episode. So, in case you didn't know, I do, if this is your first time at the show, then of course you don't know. I do bonus episodes every time I put out a free episode. There's also a bonus episode that comes along with it that you can access through my Patreon, which is at patreon.com/thatthingwithjames. There you can become a patron, help support this show, and then get access to 220 plus episodes. Yeah, I think I'm in the... Wait, not 200. That's the free episodes. No, 100. You can get access to over 120 bonus episodes by becoming a patron at patreon.com/thatthingwithjames. And to those of you who are already patrons, thank you so much. You guys rock. It helps very much. It helps a lot because I don't do ads or sponsors or anything on this show. It's me all the way through. Granted, I did not build nor harvest the materials to build the devices I use to make this show, but when it comes to using said devices and using my own instrument, my body, my mind, my soul, it's all on me. So yeah, support me at patreon.com/thatthingwithjames. It'll be worth it. It's worth the $5 bare minimum entry. It's worth it. And then there's different tiers with different perks. But yeah. Where was I going? Yeah, you can find that link written in the episode description, and my show email, show subreddit, and socials. You can find that information also written in the episode description. So let's just jump right into what I have pulled up here, which is another fan fiction found, like I said, on Archive of Our Own. This one... It took me about 20 minutes to find because I was trying to find something funny. It is impressive the amount of work these writers put into their fan fictions, because I went through so many things that were literally over 100,000. And some of the top ones are like over 400,000 words. Book-wise, I think that would be a book about this thick, about as thick as my head, just about. Audio listeners, in case you didn't know, this show is on YouTube. Look up That Thing with James. My channel will pop up. There you will subscribe and then watch and like and comment and share all of the videos I have made, because it will make your dreams, the good dreams, only the good dreams, come true. Anyway, I was digging and digging and digging and being like, oh my God, I'm impressed, but I'm not going to read these on my podcast. This is going to take too damn long. I'm looking for something a bit shorter, and I'm looking for something funny. So that helped me whittle it down a little bit through the fandoms and everything. And I'm thinking of different shows, different characters that might come to mind, something that would make me laugh. Years ago, I did some Sonic Mpreg, Red. I didn't write it. So like a Sonic Mpreg story. I think that was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was like Shrek and Sonic ship story, and they Mpreg each other, that sort of thing, which was very fun. But I didn't want Sonic. I was thinking, what could possibly, what about that guy? He's no longer with us. But when he was quite a character. And there's a couple. I've seen 2 documentaries on this man, and it is some of the most wild stuff I've ever seen. And if you've ever used a Windows based operating system, or a Windows operating system, at least up until like the early 2010s, then you know about McAfee antivirus. And now you might not know that there was a man behind that program, a myth, a legend. A legend who really did live up to his myths. Oh, there's a little cute bunny rabbit running around outside. There was a man who lived up to the myths. He was a living legend. A problematic king named John McAfee. McAfee. John McAfee was the guy who created McAfee antivirus, the thing that came preloaded and didn't really do anything for your computer, and still took up a lot of processing resource. Yeah. If you don't know, I've done episodes about this guy. I've even interviewed other podcasters and did a couple appearances on a podcast that actually got to talk to John McAfee and his girlfriend or wife or whatever it was back when he was alive. They happened to get a hold of him because, like, I don't know, they'd taken some like sleeping medicine and weren't asleep yet and were messing around on Reddit and started talking shit to some users saying like, yeah, right. Well, if you're the real John McAfee, come be on our podcast. And it turns out it was the real John McAfee, and he was on Reddit, and he did follow up and contact these podcasters and set up an interview with them, which was fantastic. Anyway, he's a character, I think, because I looked up John McAfee. All right, go with me here. And I found this story by Myline Sheet. That's the username. This title of the story is Painting the Sky Blue. And the summary is living on Mars, desperately trying to go back to the year that started all of the disasters, but not all plans can work. That's the summary. Now, I should note, this story was published in August of 2020. So some of the references are going to be dated, but here's some additional tags to give you an idea of what we're about to get into. So the fandoms it's a part of, it's an original work. It's part of the Elon Musk fandom. The Grimes fandom, the musician Grimes, and there's another, the Elon Musk Cinematic Universe. And I read that and I laughed aloud. Ha 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 ha. Elon Musk Cinematic Universe. Now, mind you, this is a comedy. So here's some other tags: Lovers to Enemies, Mars, Stand user John McAfee, Stand user Kanye West. Now, if you don't know what a stand is or a stand user, well, you might know what an object, The Stand, is, and you might know the great Stephen King novel, The Stand. But in this case, a stand user is a reference to an excellent anime that I need another season of it now already. An anime called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's a pretty big deal. If you follow anime at all, if you enjoy anime, then you've likely heard of it. And if you haven't watched it yet and have a really, really keen sense of humor, you will love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, I've heard some people kind of gave up during the very first season, and I understand that. And I venture to say it's skippable. Now, for the lore and everything, I do say complete the first season, but you can skip it and it completely transforms from season 2 onward. It's a great show. It's extremely funny. It's extremely satirical of anime itself, which is one of the great things about it. But in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's also a manga, by the way, of course, like so many animes, it was a manga first. There are these things called stands, which are basically, let's say the main characters are, most of them are pretty good fighters and stuff, but they're not quite superheroes, and they don't quite have superpowers per se. Kind of. They have a special ability in which they are able to control this thing called a stand. And a stand, I would say, is sort of like a spirit that you can summon and use as like an expression of the essence of your soul. So it is like the essence of your soul, of your character, personified as a physical spirit type thing that you can conjure. And the spirit type thing has its own powers unique to you. And so this conjured spirit with powers that fights other conjured spirits, those are called stands. And the people that conjure them are called stand users. So with that in mind, in that context, it is rather droll to read stand user John McAfee and stand user Kanye West. I remember when I read that, I commented to my girlfriend and I said, "What's Kanye West's stand? A KKK ghost?" So yeah, that's one of the things in this. We've got Karen, we've got time travel, anime, waifus, crack, white people, McAfee antivirus, tax evasion, tax fraud, Elon Musk. Great stuff. And it's only 2.5 thousand words. I think that's enough to fit into this episode. And I'm going to do that. I've not read all of this yet. I've only read the first paragraph, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to use this for the show. And so I'm going to take a sip of water, and we're going to go. I'll be right back, and we'll jump into Paint the Sky Blue. Just a second. To quote Super Mario, here we go. Painting the Sky Blue by My Line Sheet. Now, before it gets into it, there's a couple notes. As I said before, this was published in 2020. So there's note 1. There are previously established elements from the Ricardo-verse universe. I don't know what the fuck that is. For better understanding of the lore, you might choose to read it, but it's not required to understand this. And then note 2, I can't believe John McAfee died. And Elon Grimes broke up because of this fan fiction. My power is immense and my meat is huge. Here we go. Why did she even bother to look outside the window? The novelty of this endless orange sight had faded away. Maybe the inability to return back to Earth made living in the colony all the more solemn, as one's heart always longs for what it cannot have. Grimes sighed. Her back hurt due to her posture being stuck in a Victorian woman looking outside of her balcony pose. But she did not want to go. She knew she would be reminded of the consequences of her life decisions if she left this place. But she didn't need to even budge a bit to face her duty, unfortunately, as her son barged in the room and started to tug on her skirt. "Are you okay, honey?" she asked. A12. Her son's system needed a good reboot now and then. She opened his mouth, and the familiar sound of a fax machine came out. He was hungry. Grimes forced herself to get up, holding the new baby. The Mars colony was excited to welcome their new heir, who was destined to be a high-ranking officer in the 2020 Time Leap program, or 3TL as they called it. Grimes had decided a precious name for the precious baby that was to reach the timeline of peace. She announced on Twitter that the baby's name was She hoped that the name would bring them luck. In the minimalist kitchen, there was someone she wasn't expecting. John McAfee. He was wanted for interdimensional tax fraud, and now he was rebranding to be a Joestar by jumping through the time leaps. He had a cowboy getup, and there were strange purple vines coming out of his arms. Grimes clutched onto her baby, caution surrounding her movements. Her breath hitched when the uninvited guest looked up, and their eyes locked. "Grimes, the Empress of Mars," he said. It's John. "Grimes, the Empress of Mars," he said, smiling. "What is your business here?" She cut to the chase. John, or Jojo, as he was called now, responded with a cheeky grin. "I was summoned here by Elon." Elon? But what business could her husband have with an interdimensional criminal? XA12 was just as bothered by the situation as he started to levitate due to his hunger bar depleting. "I'm here," a boisterous voice called out. He was in pajamas, his hair messy. Grimes' blue eyes fluttered. It had been 3 days since she last saw him. Her heart started beating faster, her stomach still hosting the butterflies she had when she first saw him. It was almost embarrassing how much she loved this man. I gotta figure out the voice. I haven't even practiced his voice. I'll figure it out on the fly. "Elon!" She jumped forward. The multi-billionaire brushed her off, which gave her chest an awful feeling, as if she was suffocating while she was in the dream prairie of a cottagecore lesbian. All the air to breathe, but the inability to do so. "You've been playing Minecraft." Oh yeah, she's got a bit of a lisp too. "You've been playing Minecraft for 3 days straight," she whispered to her caller. Elon rolled his brown eyes. You could have just... How the fuck does Elon... You could have just cryo-slept. Grimes did not answer to his disrespectful attitude. John was the one to break the tension. "A new baby? What's the gender?" he asked. Grimes nervously smiled. "Well, they aren't old enough to claim a gender ideas." "She is my daughter, who is a female that possesses XX chromosomes and a uterus able to produce ovum that can be copulated with sperm, which means she is going to grow up to be a lady woman, a girl. Grimes felt tears pool in her eyes upon Elon's interruption. Elon was sweet, loving, a gamer, but he did not understand her values in social justice and communism. She wanted to educate him, but the several times she tried resulted in him calling her a normie, started crying, sensing their father's insensitivity to gender identities that children may develop later on in their lives as they became their own people, despite their mother's efforts. So, wait, who the fuck? So, how do you pronounce her name? I saw what you were going to name her from your tweet. I have no fucking idea how you say it, John complained, fixing his cowboy hat. Oh, Grimes smiled. You pronounce it like. Ah, John frowned. I see. I thought you'd be the kind of gal to name her child after an anime character instead, if I'm being honest. I was quite surprised. Grimes puffed her cheeks at the comment. But it bothered her because his assumption had some truth to it. She had thought of naming her child after her best girl, Death Abyss, from the 2020 ecchi anime Ishuzoku Reviewers, made by Studio Passion. But she thought it would be too crude of a name due to its prominence in the colony of Mars. Anyway, I need you to take a look at this, Elon. John opened a laptop. There were windows of Norton and Avast opened, demanding a credit card number. John smashed the laptop with his fist as the transparent vines swallowed the laptop, reshaping it and fixing it. The laptop's blue screened before going back to the classic Windows screen, now with McAfee antivirus, TM, displaying a picture of the president, Kanye West. Oh, God. He was one of the many disasters the 3TL program was trying to prevent. The year 2020 was cursed. The first piece of many of the disasters that fell like domino pieces. What started with earthquakes and fires evolved into a virus. With the power of ignorance, arrogance, and racism, the world was lunged into its impending demise. Some world leaders were corrupted. With the dwindling fire, they were turned into dark nights of the apocalypse. Lukashenko, Erdogan, Putin, Macron, and that ugly British fuck, all transformed into the corrupted ones. They were the guardians of the tomb of people's futures, as they hallowed and roamed the lands while the earth was scorched to the ground due to climate change. To rekindle the fire, the states elected a new person, Kanye West. He was supposed to be the Yeezus, as people believed in him and his minimalistic merch line. But the expectations of hope were defiled, stained. The rot of despair is a sneaky one, as it clogs the cracks that lets the sunlight in, and the darkness takes over without notice. With despair overwhelming, believers also lost faith. Thus, Elon launched his space program, the Mars Colony. In it, he did live like a king, but he lacked the respect he desired. Elon was funding 3TL to gain the favor of his people, as they were not as fond of him as he would like. It was his anime protagonist motivation, as he was hoping to save the Earth so the anime companies could flourish again to give birth to his very own anime. Grimes wanted anime back as well, but in her heart, she believed Elon did this so that their children could see the green Earth they heard stories of. For the sake of XAA12, for the sake of John cleared his throat, directing Grimes' attention back to the screen. He pointed a faint figure, or he pointed at a faint figure behind Kanye West. It looked like a Blue Rabbit BDSM uniform. He is a stand user. I've tracked his ability down with the math knowledge in my brain. He is able to jump dimensions, like me. Does that mean? Elon went wide-eyed. John only nodded his head in response. He is the one to take the Karen virus back in time. And A12 screeched. He had also understand the weight of the situation and stopped levitating. That was confusing. The writer added extra letters to XAA12, so it kind of threw me off. I'm working here. I'm doing the best I can, folks. That means Ricardo's mission to go back would be compromised. That means Ricardo's mission to go back would be compromised. John nodded. Through dimension jumping, cryosleep, and technology, the Musk family had retained their youth. But this technology wasn't open to the public. John was only able to do it due to the math knowledge in his brain. Kanye was an unknown variable in the equation. Grimes couldn't take it anymore. She excused herself and went to the back room. Elon called after her, but she left while holding the baby. She went to the back room and covered her mouth. She knew Kanye was corrupted, but he couldn't have the power to shift dimensions. She looked down onto eyes. They were green, a color that she would grow up to be foreign to. And it was the fault of everyone who did not wear their goddamned masks. The Karen virus was a disease that was noticed too late, a mutation of the COVID-19 virus. It clung to the host's DNA like the HIV, making it impossible to remove from the host once it was in. And was Kanye the one to blame for this? But why? It was because Grimes searched her memory for answers. The missing puzzle piece only seemed like how Kim Kardashian had cheated on Kanye West. Was the pent-up resentment he fostered that strong to will humanity's decease? Grimes placed her beautiful baby in the crib as her eyes caught the sight of a strange tablet. It wasn't an iPad or an Android tablet, so Grimes assumed Elon had constructed it. Her eyes searched back and forth, and after she ensured no one was there, she took it with her. She also adorned her astronaut suit to go outside. The low gravity was almost smoothing, rocking her into calmness. It was the initial reason she dated Elon, to take advantage of his space enthusiasm to visit space. Now she had achieved it, but only the vast emptiness welcomed the ones who had gone beyond the stars. She held the tablet close. Something in her head told her to search it. The password to it summoned a keyboard on the screen. Grimes frowned and typed, she didn't type that. Grimes frowned and typed the first thing she thought of. I love Grimes. Wrong password. She was heartbroken, but maybe that would be too easy to guess. Lockheed A through 12. Wrong password. So it wasn't their mutual favorite aircraft after all. One more try, and the device would be locked for 5 minutes. Grimes had to think smartly, as she didn't want the inconvenience of waiting in the middle of Mars. 3 October 11. Success. The reference was to the 2009 anime Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, adapted to screenplay by Studio Bones based on the manga written by Hiromu Arakawa, did the trick. It was Elon's favorite, after all. Grimes smiled at the growing warm feeling in her. Though Elon did not listen to her most of the time, his nerd side had all the charm she needed to melt. The tablet's light was the only thing illuminating her vision as she was walking in the dark. Suddenly, she felt a weight at the back of her suit. They were hands, trying to separate her from the tablet. She hastily turned around, only to meet the eyes of her lover. But he wasn't in a suit. Grimes's mouth hung ajar. Elon? She called out. You're not supposed to look at that, he warned. His tone had a serious tint that she had never heard before. So many questions were racing in Grimes's head. As if to seek an answer, she looked at the now unlocked tablet to see that the notes application had a detailed description. She scrolled up to see the title, which was The Karen Virus, and a log attached to the title, a log of messages between Elon and Kanye West. You knew about Kanye spreading the coronavirus all along? She accused. Elon groaned. Is that really more complicated than you? It is much more complicated than you think. Grimes shook her head to the sides. Her breathing got heavier as panic rose. I don't know what to think. How are you not in a suit? Elon started laughing. Ha, 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 ha. Not the kind of laugh like one would throw after seeing a funny vine, but the kind of laugh that a Disney villain would muster up after kicking 12 golden retriever puppies. Grimes was confused, and this confusion wasn't to be lifted for a while. Claire, he called Grimes by her real name. You know, I'm not human. No, Grimes said, piecing everything together. You are a billionaire. Elon continued his laughter. Ha 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 ha. Though pain hid behind his laughter, it didn't discount the horror. To achieve the power of immortals is not a victory when the numbers can go up to an infinity, he explained. What does it mean to become so powerful if it means to be the subject to a never-ending race, a race in which one of the rules is that you cannot win? I don't understand, Grimes shook her head. The numbers can go up to an infinity, Claire. Her name was spoken with such contempt that ignited a feeling of aggression in her, something that she did not want to harbor towards Elon. And one of those numbers is so goddamn high, no amount of interdimensional tax evasion can help me reach it. Jeff Bezos, the first one to flee the earth, was in hopes of escaping the hell that broke open with his many, like the shit ton of money. But you have more than enough, she protested. We have this colony. We have children and flying cars. The numbers do not care, Claire. Elon broke through Grimes's helmet. His hands enveloped her neck. She screamed. Not only her lover was trying to tarnish the timeline in a way that suited his greed, but also he was trying to fucking kill her. But there was the butterfly of hope in the midst of disasters of 2020. XAA12. Did that mean Elon was willing to sacrifice it, all in hopes of an empty fulfillment? She screamed. With her newfound strength of her motherly instincts, she threw Elon over her head. It wasn't very effective due to low gravity, but it did create some distance between them. Grimes was running out of air due to the leak in her helmet, so she knew she was on borrowed time. She knew Elon's love for big, shiny self-destruction buttons. She smiled upon the revelation that she was right, as there was an app called Xyslamo, XYSLMAO, and she opened it, prompting her to a window with a red button. Elon screamed, "Oh, no." his voice so loud that it broke the laws of physics, leaping him forward. But pressing the button is not a task that requires much time. It felt like undoing the fabric of the universe to press the button, to prevent all the tragedies that happened before remain the most devastating events to ever happen. She had to put an end to it. It was saddening how the one remaining action to take was to preserve the awful events instead of erasing them, but it was the only thing that could be done. She closed her eyes, knowing that her children will not die due to the billionaire genes inside them. The past would stay blind to the events that started it all as they resided in the future, but they would also not know the devastation that could have been. A fate between losing and losing was a choice for fools to make. But then I think maybe it's supposed to be then, but then maybe it was better for the ignorant ones to never know there was a choice at all. Elon leapt forward towards the tablet, but it was too late. The button was already pressed. And in the end, she closed her eyes, not wanting to witness this any longer. Only one last word rolled from her tongue. Oblivion. Notes. Fuck you. I need a water, and then I'll give my commentary. Just a second. All right, that was a bit of a mess. It was, personally, maybe you got some out of it. Man, that felt like a mess. Maybe this is why I should take time to read these things all the way through before I read them on here, to make sure they're up to snuff. Quality control. So maybe the story here is me, the host of this show, struggling to read something he's not read before, struggling to entertain you and hopefully make you laugh and myself laugh. I didn't really make myself laugh with this one, but, grief, other shit, I'm dealing with some stuff right now. So, that's it. That's it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I've got better episodes, I feel. You can find them on my podcast, on YouTube, and on Patreon at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. I promise I've got a lot better stuff on there too. That's it. Like I said at the start, I'm dealing with some stuff, but I wanted to make sure and get this out, and that's what I'm doing. So, thank you if you made it this far in. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to catch you next time, and I'm sure I'll be in better spirits by then. All right. Stick around for the bonus episode. Bye.